اللهم أهل علينا شهر رمضان بالأمن والإيمان والسلامة والإسلام والتوفيق لما يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم أعنا فيه على الصيام والقيام. اللهم اجعلنا يقيه إيمانا واحتسابا. اللهم سلمنا لرمضان وسلمه لنا وتسلم لنا. اللهم اجعله شهر عز للإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم اجعله شهرا للنصر والتمكين للإسلام والمسلمين في كل مكان يا رب العالمين.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala nabina Muhammad wa ala ahlihi wa ashabi ajma'een. Inshallah, this will be our talk and our beginning of our talk related to Ramadan. I will ask any brothers or sisters that have any questions to leave it at the end, because it will distract us or the talk, because it's a short time. So we save the questions for the end. If any of the brothers that came for the actual talk, please get a little bit closer, move more inside, inshallah, if you're going to come in for the talk, so I can see actually who's here. And don't be shy. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said there's two types of people who don't learn. Now ain or now an. Two types of people who don't learn. The one who is arrogant because he's too arrogant, meaning he thinks he has all the information or knowledge or all the answers, as my mother was saying as a child, and the one who's too shy. For the one who's arrogant, we could understand that the one who is arrogant, that he already thinks he knows the answer. Turn off this mic for me, please. This one. And for the one who is shy, he's too shy to ask. In seeking ilm, in seeking knowledge about the religion, there are etiquettes and adab. This class is not really about etiquettes and adab, but it's about preparing for Ramadan. So I will also talk about some things about etiquettes. Part of the etiquettes of learning is sitting close, not sitting in the back. We say the one who's sitting in the back, he's the one, he sits in the back because either or the topic, he doesn't have interest in the topic. Alright? So when somebody's teaching your religion, also you give him your ear. You give him your ear and your full attention. Today we're going to talk about, every Friday inshallah, al-bayan, explanation or talk related to Ramadan and preparing for Ramadan. Ramadan is right around the corner. The month of Ramadan is right here. We have a few more weeks between May 26 or 27. As we know, as time passed by very quickly, that's another few weeks. It's going to be passed by like this. The next thing you know, it's Ramadan is here. A little bit about myself, for those who don't know me. There's some faces here new, some faces here old, know me, who don't. Some people here know me, some people here don't know me. So to introduce myself formally, who am I, what's my name and everything, I like to small introduction about myself, because it's very important also in Islam who you take knowledge from. Who you take knowledge from. So a little bit about myself. I'm the imam of this masjid. I work here part-time. I come here Friday, Saturday, and I leave on Sunday. I leave Sunday afternoon. So I'm here on the weekends. I've been in this masjid now for, alhamdulillah, over a year and a half. Over a year and a half. And I like, some people here know me, some people here might not know me. Some people might be new or new to actually sitting and talking and taking the class from me. Those who took class from me, like these gentlemen over here, all these guys know me. Some of the brother in the back, they know me. But they see me here all the time and I talk to the people. For those who don't know me, here's an introduction of myself. My name is Abul Baraa Muhammad Abdullah, the son of Baraa. This is my son al-Baraa, the father of Baraa. And my name is Muhammad Abdullah. And I study Islam in Egypt. I lived in Egypt for about 2 years. And in Egypt, I spend most of my time learning the Arabic language and learning some of the basic things about the religion. Since my return from Egypt, I left Egypt maybe in 2009. And I've been here in the US since then up to now, and I spend most of my time also continuing seeking knowledge. And how I continue to seek knowledge, alhamdulillah, I have some teachers from overseas, from Egypt, that I study with, one-on-one privately, alhamdulillah, different topics. One of my Shaykh, alhamdulillah, I will mention his name today. We get into the book, or about preparing for Ramadan, we get into a book. So I've been the Imam in his masjid for a short period of time, a year and a half. This is considered to be short, right? So now we starting after the year and a half is getting a good crowd of people. This is my first time having a good crowd of people who came here for an actual talk. Most of the time when people come here, I give a talk, is I'm catching them between the salah or after the salah. I'm catching them to give them some dawah for 5 or 10 minutes. Talk 5 or 10 minutes to catch the people, to remind them about the religion. Now is about Ramadan and topics about Ramadan. And the topics about preparing yourself for Ramadan. In front of me, I have a e-book I wrote. An e-book that I wrote. The e-book is about al-Mulakas or Mulakas li Ramadan. al-Mulakas al-Fiqhi li Ramadan. Concise Fiqh for Ramadan. Concise Fiqh for Ramadan. I put the actual website for the book is actually on the masjid's website and Facebook page. The book for the class or for the talk is actually on the masjid's website and fan book page, because I like to help the Muslim prepare themselves. They need to read. A certain percent of knowledge that you will learn, any type of Islamic knowledge you will learn, is from the mouth of the Shaykh or the mouth of the teacher, and the other larger percent of knowledge is what you do after the talk, what you're reading at home, preparing yourself. Part of seeking knowledge is also reading and listening to the Shaykh. The two go hand in hand. Listening to the Shaykh and also getting the extra detailed information sometimes is by reading. The other type of knowledge, when people read and only read and don't take knowledge from the Shaykh, many times when people read, they don't comprehend what they're reading, or they read things interpreted the wrong way. This is the importance of seeking knowledge from a person. So a person who is qualified or know about the topic they are teaching. So the book that I'm reading from you today is called Beneficial Fiqh for Ramadan, or Concise Beneficial Fiqh for Ramadan. The book, how it's compiled, you need to know where you get your sources from, how you learn about what is fard, what is an obligation for the Muslim, and what is Sunnah. How do we learn these things? What books do we go to, and things like that. So it's very important you understand where the source of information, where it's come from. So this is the source of information. The book I compiled through translations of mine that I translated. Where did I compile them from? One of my things that I like to do is busy with Arabic language. In Islam, Arabic language is very important for the Muslim to understand Arabic language. One, because the Quran is in Arabic. The Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is in Arabic language. Allah revealed the Quran in Arabic language. So it shows a Muslim to tap into the knowledge, you must understand the Arabic language. So, as myself, when I review Lugha, Arabic, or Arabic language, when I review it, I go to different curriculums to review Arabic language. So I found a book which is using the Mahad of Madinah University to teach Arabic. They have one from the Mahad, the 2-year Arabic program. They have a book related to al-Fiqh, related to the 5 pillars of Islam, in Lugha Arabiya, Fiqh book and Lugha Arabiya. So I compiled the book from one of these books that was used to teach Arabic about fiqh. The book, mashallah, was very nice, but the book was not complete. There's some things for a beginner student's knowledge. When he learns an Arabic language, you give them the information bits by bits. You don't give to the student large knowledge, big knowledge, a lot of information at one time. Why? Because he would drop it all. If he doesn't have the foundation, the basic knowledge, the high knowledge, he will lose it. He won't be able to keep it or comprehend it or to hold the knowledge. So he will lose it unless he has what? The foundation. So the book, it was a basic book, but it wasn't in detailed. So what I did was add articles from a particular book called al-Mulakas al-Fiqhi. Concise Fiqh by Shaykh Dr. Salih al-Fawzan, Hafidhullah. Dr. Salih Fawzan, he is one of the major scholars who sit on the committee of Fatawa and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He's one of the major scholars of today. And he has a concise book about fiqh. So I took some things from his book regarding fiqh, regarding Ramadan, and I put some of the things that were very important to the book. Then I took some articles, questions and answers regarding Ramadan, common questions and answers about Ramadan. I got them from a book of Fatawa from Shaykh bin Baz, rahimahullah, the former Mufti of Saudi Arabia, Shaykh bin Baz. And then from my teacher that I studied fiqh with, Shaykh Abdul Adheem Badawi, Hafidhullah, may Allah preserve him. Shaykh Abdul Adheem Badawi is an Egyptian sheikh who is the vice president of Ansar Sunnah Muhammadiya of Egypt, fi Misr. He is the vice president of Ansar Sunnah Muhammadiya. This is an institute of learning in Egypt. I got to spend 6 months with this particular sheikh, so a lot of his works I comprehend, because I spend majority of my time or my beginning time seeking ilm, Islamic knowledge, in the Arabic language with this particular sheikh, so I understand a lot of his works. The reason why I compiled the two sheikhs, Shaykh Fawzan and Shaykh Abdul Adheem Badawi, because in fiqh we have sometimes different opinion regarding things. And regarding Ramadan, there's many things that we have different opinions on Ramadan. For example, cupping, losing blood. Does this breaks one's fast or not? So I took from two different angles, two different sheikhs, and I try to come and show the reader what is the most correct way or the different view. I don't tell the reader which view to take, but which one I see, I give them both views, and then for them is to figure which view they want to accept. Because it's important for the seeker of knowledge or the one who's learning that when the teacher is giving you the opinion, he's not giving you from only one direction. Anybody who studies Sharia, anybody who studies fiqh and who wants to be a teacher in fiqh, wants to be an Islamic judge, he doesn't study one method. He doesn't study just one method. He studies the different opinions of the different scholars related to issues, related to topics, important issues. Then he figures out which one is close to the correct way. So I compiled this book and also some articles, or an article by Shaykh Salih Uthaymeen, rahimahullah. So everybody now, we know where the source of information, where is it coming from. The introduction of the book is regarding Ramadan. So the book has about 9 chapters. 9 chapters. It has 9 different chapters, and today I'm going to talk about the introduction of the book. All praise is due to Allah. So I'm beginning the introduction of the book from a khutbah regarding Ramadan by Shaykh Salih Fawzan, Hafidhullah. And the Shaykh, he begins with praising Allah. He said, all praise is due to Allah, He who is the creator for His slaves, He who created for His slave a season, and Muslim. This season is Ramadan, for them to get close to Him. So Ramadan is the month for the Muslim, he looks to get close to Allah. Continuing, in this season, all kinds of obedience. So in this particular season of Ramadan, you have all different types of obedience. And Allah, He forgives them of their sins. So in the month of Ramadan, we understand Allah, He opens the door. We understand in Ramadan, Futiha abwabul Jannah wa ghuliqa abwabul nar. The door of the Jannah is open and the door of the hellfire is closed. So this is the month where Allah forgive people for their sins, right for them to be taken out the fire. This is the month of maghfirah, forgiveness. So He forgive them from their sins and He raised their level. So in the month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also raised the level of the Muslim, raised the level of the believer, because in this month, that the reward that He gives for the fasting or any type of charity or good deed, it is increased. Then the Shaykh said, and I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, His rule, His domain or dominion, which is capable, and the one who legislates, which is easy. He continues to spread upon His slave from all kinds of piety and blessings. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His slave and His messenger, the first to race to all kinds of good things. May Allah send upon him all kinds of blessings, and upon his family and his companions, and those who preserve the obedience of their Lord in all times and ages. They are specific in His virtue times with more acts of righteousness, send on them the best and much salutation. Then the Shaykh continues to say into further, O people, fear Allah the Most High, and know that it is obligatory upon the Muslim that he worship his Lord and he obey Him in all stages of his life. Allah the Most High said, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, and worship your Lord until there comes unto you certainty. Right here, for example, death. Some of the Salaf, the pious predecessors, the Salaf to Salih means the early Muslims of the first 3 generations of this deen. And this is a terminology that many Muslims need to comprehend. A terminology that the Muslims need to comprehend. Salaf to Salih. Many of the Muslims don't understand this term, or they think this term have a bad meaning, or this term is related to certain groups of Muslims today. The meaning of Salih to Salih is talking about the first 3 generations. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, خَيْرُ أُمَّتِي قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. He said, the best of this ummah, the Islamic nation, is my generation. Then those who follow after them, then those who follow after them. This talking about the Sahaba and the Tabi'een. Talking about the Sahaba who learned the religion from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Tabi'een who came after the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that they learned the Islam from the Sahaba. So it's saying that some of the Salaf said it's not for the action of the Muslim that his goals are without death. What does this mean? It means each of us shall die. So the Shaykh continues and said, it is a duty for him that he specify the times for doing good. Here it's talking about Ramadan. This is a specific month for the rewards will be increased. And this is the specific time that a Muslim know he's going to do extra acts of ibadah. Because what? The rewards are multiplied. So it's a month made for this particular reason. And he said, in this month, he's doing good with more magnitude and more struggle. So that's that he's doing abundance of good action, and he's struggling hard in Ramadan. Yes, when you're fasting in Ramadan, you're not eating, you're not drinking. This is a struggle. You're making a salah. And for some of the majority of the Muslim, we still continue to do our everyday thing. We continue to go and work. Yes. Those who are in school continue to go to school. Those who are in their job, they continue working at their job. So there's not a month where we're going to leave off the dunya, meaning that we're not going to work. That is a month of entertainment. Rather yet, no, it's a month of worshiping of Allah. Indeed, Allah made, sit upright. Indeed, Allah, He made the times for worship doubled. And it is a reward and blessings more than any other. So Allah doubled the rewards in Ramadan. And this time is the month of Ramadan, which is blessed, and the Quran was sent down. Yes. And Ramadan is the month where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send down the Quran. Ramadan is the month that every Muslim needs to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in the month of Ramadan. So Allah, He sent down the Quran and its guidance for the people. And the evidence for guidance and al-Furqan, meaning knowing the truth from falsehood. Or how is the fear of the mighty season? So how is the fear of the mighty season? Let us know the magnitude of this particular month. Very close around Ramadan is your blessed friends and noble companions, corporates. So very close around Ramadan, yes, in the month of Ramadan, people come together. As we can see in this particular masjid, any other masjid, that when Ramadan comes, people come together to the masjid. People come out to do acts of ibadah. People start being more giving in this particular month. People give more food. People give more money. People go make sacrifices of animal. People spend in the cause of Allah. So the Shaykh, he said, what is siyam? What is fasting? What is described of the word of siyam? The word siyam, with sad, ya, alif, mim, as siyam. Siyam means fasting. It is the third pillar from the pillar of Islam. And the Allah glorifies He in the Most High made it fard, that which is obligatory upon the Muslim nation, just as He made it fard upon the nation previously. As He's saying in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O you believe, observe fasting. It is prescribed for you, as it was prescribed for those before you, that you may become al-muttaqun. Yeah, you become pious, that you may become the one who fear Allah. It was made an obligation in the second year of Hijrah. Verily the Prophet ﷺ, he fasted 8 Ramadans. In the life of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ and his seerah, we understand that the Prophet, he fasts what? 8 Ramadans. He fasts 8 Ramadan. Then he passed away, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The Shaykh says in his book, al-Mulakas, al-Fiqhi, related to the fast of Islam, he said, this is a purification for oneself. So listen attentively. He said the fast is a purification of oneself and makes one pure and cleansed from common bad ills and evil manners. I say that again. He said the Ramadan, the fasting in general, it purifies oneself and it makes one pure and it cleanses from all common bad ills and evil manners. What does this mean? Minor and major sins like backbiting, fornicating, slandering, ghiba, namima, khadb, al-fusuq, all these type of things, because it narrows the way for shaitan. What does this mean? Fasting narrows the way for shaitan. It narrows the way for shaitan in the body of mankind, because the shaitan, he travels in the veins of the son of Adam, mankind. And when you eat or drink, it stretches out one's desire. It weakens one will to desire, will and desire. He does a little act of ibadah. So when one is fasting, it weakens his desire. When one fasts, for example, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, for the young man, the men to marry, who have the means, but those who don't have the means to marry, they should what? Fast. They should what? Fast. The fasting itself, what? It lowers one's lower desires. It weakens it. It lowers or weakens one's lower desires. So the shaitan, he runs through the vein of mankind. So when he is not weakened, when he has shaitan in his veins and he's not weakened, that means that he does also little acts of worship. He does what? Little acts of worship. So siyam, fasting, is the opposite of that. So the fasting is the opposite. When you fast, it should cut you off from bad manners, sins, lying, trickery, gossip, backbiting. It should lower one's desires to fornicate, so on and so forth. In the fast, it pushes away the worldly life and the desires for it. And the siyam, fasting, make one desire the hereafter. So the Shaykh, he said something very important. He said within the fasting, it does what? He said it makes a person push away the worldly life. In what sense? How does fasting makes a person push away from the worldly life? So when I'm fasting, I'm not doing what? Think about it. I'm not eating. I'm not drinking from sun up to sundown. I'm not eating. I'm not drinking from sun up to sundown. What is the purpose of eating and drinking in general? If we look at the purpose of eating and drinking, it does what? The purpose of eating and drinking is the nutrients that you need in your body to survive on this worldly life. In this vehicle, this temple, your body, you need food and drink to what? To do anything, to survive. It's part of the development of man. If you don't eat, you don't drink, you will what? You will die. So while fasting, it's putting off food and drink for a certain period of time. It takes one away from what? This worldly affairs. He's not thinking about now he's giving up or he's sacrificing eating and drinking for a certain part of the day. And he's sacrificing what? For the man and the woman who are married. What? The sexual relationship. He's not having sex during the day hours of the fast. He's giving them some type of desire from this dunya world. All of this to get close to Allah. So yes, when you fast, the siyam, it pushes away the dunya life or the dunya world. And an impulse, meaning while you're fasting, you, the fasting person, also have sympathy. Have sympathy for the poor and feel their pains. So when the one who is fasting tastes from the pain of hunger and thirst, because the fast is legislated by the Sharia of Allah, it is to restrain from food and drink and sex and evil deeds. With niyat, with intentions on a specific thing, meaning restraining from eating, drinking, and sexual relationship with one's spouse. So the purpose of the fast, or the fast in itself, it restrains one from what? Sexual desires and all type of corrupt and evil deeds. So the feedback or comments that when you restrain from fasting, when you restrain from food and drink, you're not eating, you're not drinking, it cuts you off from the worldly life. What it means, it cuts you off. For example, if I look at a person, non-Muslim for example, majority of them do not fast. And if you look at some of them, when it comes to eating and drinking, some of them make it the purpose of their life. It is the crucial point of their life, eating and drinking. And even eating and drinking in America, what you eat and what you drink is also part of a status or a class. People who are rich, they eat lavish things that are expensive, that the average person probably don't buy or eat. So eating and drinking, it means something related to the dunya. It means, for example, part of the worldly life. If I don't eat, I what? I die. I don't drink, nothing, I what? I die. I don't drink water for a certain amount of days or weeks, I will die. If you look at somebody who's in a country who will suffer from famine, no food and drink, they're on the break of what? Dying. You look at the body, they're on the break of dying. So when you sacrifice your food and drink for a period of time, this is you being away from the worldly life. thinking of the spiritual life, thinking about getting close to Allah. Because food and drink is something that is temporarily. It's something that is part of the dunya. The dunya itself is what? Temporarily. So while the one is fasting, getting away from food and drink and sex, this give the person close to what? Get him close to his Lord. Let him think more about his religion. Let him think more spiritually about himself and his development and his relationship with Allah. It cultivates the mind, even the fast. And many mashaykh, many scholars in Islam, they tell their students, especially the student who is weak in his memory, part of a talabul, one of the requirements, you must acquire a very strong memory. Can't depend on the book only. You have to memorize the knowledge, memorize the ayat in Quran, memorize the hadith. So many of the scholars, they recommend to the students who are students of knowledge, or those who want to memorize Quran, they tell them to what? Fast. If you want to memorize well, you memorize this book, memorize this hadith, you will tell him to do what? Fast. Help him with his memory. So this is one of the benefits of the fast. The next chapter, the superiority of fasting. And we'll end with this chapter. The superiority of fasting. What it means, fasting in general. Fasting, as we understand it, it means to what? Refrain. Abstaining from eating and drinking. This is the legislative meaning of this in Islam, the meaning of the word fasting. To stay away from eating and drinking from what? Sun up to sundown. It's narrated in a hadith. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying in a hadith, all the deeds of Adam children belong to them, except fasting, which belongs to me, and I reward for it, or I reward it. Fasting is a shield against wrongdoing and the hellfire. If one of you happened to be fasting, then he would avoid sexual relationship with his spouse and should avoid quarreling. If someone quarrels with him, let him say, I am fasting 2 times. By him whose hand is my soul, the smell of the mouth of the fasting person is better in the sight of Allah than musk. This hadith is from Bukhari and Muslim. In another narration, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, there is a gate in paradise, and those who observe fasting will enter through it on the day of resurrection, and no one else except them will enter through it. It will be said, where are those who used to observe fasting? They would get up, and none except them will enter through it. After their entry, the gate will be closed, and nobody else will be able to enter it. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, whoever fasts the month of Ramadan with faith and seeks Allah's pleasure and rewards will have his sins forgiven. This hadith is found and collected by Imam Ahmed. By him who hands my soul, the smell of the mouth of a fasting person is better in the sight of Allah than musk. And the one who's fasting, there are 2 delights. He is delighted with 2 when he breaks his fast, and he's delighted with the iftar. The iftar. So he's delighted with 2. He's delighted when he breaks his fast, and he's delighted with iftar. And the second one is when he meets his Lord with his pleasures, he be delighted with his fast. And this hadith also found in Bukhari and Muslim. So we understand that the basics of fasting, the basic introduction of preparing oneself for fasting, and understand what is the fast. First, fast is from one of the pillars of Islam. So there's not a Muslim who come and say, well, in 2017, fast is not wajib. Matter of fact, last year, because I believe Ramadan was during the hottest days in the summertime, and it said that day hours were very long. There was a fatwa committee come out of Europe, said that, oh, because Ramadan is in summertime and the days are long, then there's no fasting. Many people laughed at this fatwa. Many people who are not laughed at this fatwa. You know, it makes me sit and think, man, what type of scholars is on this committee who said that Ramadan, because it's going to be long hours, that in Ramadan they don't have to fast this year. This is something ridiculous. You know, things people come out of with and what they say from their whims and their desires. No one can come and say Ramadan for this year is not going to be no Ramadan. No one can say Ramadan is not from the pillars of Islam. Now there's a conditions to fasting. And there's some people who are exempt from fasting that we need to know about. That what we do, inshallah, in the further talks and the next talks on Fridays. Those who are excused from actually fasting, who have to fast, and why. What are the signs of people fasting? And what you must do in the fast. What you actually must do. These are some of the things, the topics that we need to know. What are the pillars of the fast? One issue. What are the pillars of the fast? Second issue, which is actually should be the first issue, how do we begin Ramadan and end with Ramadan? That's what we talk about next week. How do we begin the month of Ramadan? How do we know when the month has actually entered? Who sights the moon? When the moon should be sought? And who's the one who sees and sight the moon? Then I might talk about a bonus topic. Do we follow international sighting or do we follow the national sighting? Do we follow the international sighting or the national sighting? This is something that here in North America, many of the Muslims, they have problems with for many years. Many years, I can remember Ramadans. In the beginning of Ramadan, one community begins this day, and then the other community begins the next day. One of us have it this day, and the other part of the community have it the next day. I even seen it in the Muslim family, same household, in the house, that one family start Ramadan this day, and the other family in the same household start Ramadan the next day. Fitna. I have a fitna. This is fitna. This is fitna. Many of the Muslims don't know. And many Muslims, you ask them, why you're fasting with this community or that community? There are legitimate excuses or legitimate answers, but many of the ahwam, the laymen of the Muslims, don't know. They don't know. They don't know. And some of them will follow and say, well, the community I'm with for doing this particular day, and the people I'm with for this particular day. Or I'm following these people here, or I'm following these people there. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm not saying the Muslims should be like this, or it's okay to just, go with the flow, as we say, go with the flow. But there should be some understood from a point of fiqh. We should know how Ramadan is started and who sight the moon. Does the guy who's in the corner store, who don't have no knowledge, do he sight the moon? Do the guy who's blind, does he go sight the moon? Do the man who's a known liar and cheater sight the moon? This is an issue in fiqh that many of us need to know. How many people sight the moon? Do two people sight the moon, or do just one person? There's some ikhtilaf and fiqh issues on who sight the moon. Do we follow international sighting, or do we follow national sighting? There's some difference of opinion, but many of the Muslims don't know. Or they allow the difference of opinion to cause the community to be split. They cause the community to be split. I seen a committee many years ago in Manhattan, Muslim community. Muslims gathered one day, and they was talking about how they're going to start Ramadan and what method and what opinion they're going to start. So you'll find the man giving the talk. He says, do we want to follow international sighting or national sighting? So one will go up, one stand up. I'll never forget this. Masjid Medina in Manhattan. That's the name of the masjid. And one of the guys come up and says, if you are Hanafi in fiqh, you shouldn't take the Maliki opinion in how to view the moon. About beginning Ramadan and ending Ramadan. Another guy come up and says, well, if you are Hanafi in fiqh, You shouldn't follow this. And another person will get up and say, well, if I'm from Jamaatul Tabligh, I'm not going to fast Ramadan until I get the fatwa from the Shaykh in India. So related to the issues of sighting the moon, this is something that, I'm not going to talk about today, but next time, inshallah, we will get into it. Because in New York City, alhamdulillah, last few years, we haven't had these problems, but they do come up. And when Ramadan begins, this is the split between the communities in New York and other places in the U.S. And matter of fact, North America, Europe, something else. Muslim countries, a different situation. But in America, you have many people who have different opinions. Like the talk I went to many years ago, maybe in 2001. Many years ago I went there. And I was listening to all the topics, and all the people coming with all the excuses not to fast together. In reality, the talk was about why not to fast altogether. Another part of Ramadan and sighting the moon here in New York, in New York City, in North America, the other issue is sighting the moon. The people have issues. Racism. It's a big issue in America between the Muslims. Racism. One group will say, I'm not going to follow these people because they're from this country. The next group of people say, I'm not going to follow these people from this country. This is a reality. This also comes in the conclusions and the reason why people fast different days, or which people take different rulings. So this is a topic that needs to be spoken about. How you touch a topic like this, a person will come, and I see many scholars sometimes, they come to US, and then people ask them from the name of the people who don't know, should we follow international sighting or national sighting? And many times the answers from the Shaykh is the same. Related to even when you read anything on the internet or fatwa in the book, the answers are the same, but people are also continuing asking the same question over and over, and the answers are there. So you have to ask yourself, when people start asking the same question and the answers are given to them related to the international and national sighting, the people are still asking. You have to ask. The reason why they continue asking these questions, because the root, the asl of the issue, they don't know. They don't know about how the moon is actually sighted and who sight the moon. They don't know. They don't know. So when before the day or two before Ramadan comes, the people will call in different masjids. This is okay. You follow a community, it's okay. But you ask the people, or you follow national, international sighting, they're going to go with a particular masjid. But you're going to ask them the reason why. Like in the case of a person I knew, in his own house, you have the same people in the same household. They're both fasting on 2 different days. They're beginning Ramadan on 2 different days. As I told my companion this, he told me this. I said, what you going to do on Eid day? That's be very conflicting. Your mother is going to pray Eid day this day, and you going to pray Eid day the next day? That is very conflicting. That's problems in the house between the mother and the family, the mother and the child, or the husband and the wife. That is very much issues. And the companion said, well, I want to be with this masjid right here, and my family go to the masjid down in Long Island, and I'm right here, and we do it like this. I said, okay, it's going to be fitna. It's going to be fitna for you in your house. Imagine your family going to pray Eid, and you just looking at them saying, bah, I'm going to pray Eid tomorrow. So these issues, and I asked him, this companion of mine, why do you do this? And he told me the answer. And I said, he was asking me, is it permissible or not? If it's beneficial or not. And I asked him, I said, Akhi, you hafiz in Quran. You don't understand the book. I said, you have the whole book memorized. You don't take no understanding from it. And it's because I was trying to tell him he need to study Arabic, basically. I was telling him he need to really study Arabic. You really need to study ilm now. Because memorizing without comprehension doesn't benefit the person. And I'm a person who hasn't memorized the whole Quran. And he's asking me for an answer. Because he see, maybe I study these issues. So I have to tell the Muslim in general. Related to fasting. When we begin Ramadan, when we end, what is going to be the main topic? What's going to be the main issue? Every year in New York, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And even people call, well, we're going to follow this community this year. Or we're going to follow national, international sighting this year. Alhamdulillah, I haven't seen this problem in Far Rockaway. And I hope it doesn't never come here, inshallah. But in other places, it's an issue. We go to this masjid, they fasting begin this day, and the masjid literally down the street. down the street, walking distance, is fasting a different day. Then when it comes, or the end of the Ramadan, it's the same fitna all over again. It's the same fitna all over again. When we having it, or we having it together. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed the Muslims in New York. The last few Ramadans, last few Eid, we did it together. Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us, forced us to have fast, begin together and end together. But we need to know these issues. And inshallah, we're going to talk about it next class. But these issues are very important to understand before Ramadan comes. Because that's the major confusion about beginning Ramadan. Which day does it start? Or I'm going to follow a national sighting or an international sighting. And you have in some cases, even the Muslim, of YC, related to sighting the moon. Even those who follow the international sighting, I have found people who make mistakes at times. I remember one year they sighted the moon in Yemen. In a particular community, I'm not going to say their name. In New York, let's say we're going to start on this particular day. And there was a small amount from the minorities. A small group of them, of the Muslims in New York, started that day. And they said, we're following this so-and-so person in Yemen. Or Yemen sighted the moon. And it's very important about, if you know the issues of fiqh, of lady sighted the moon, then some things got to know. Whoever sighted the moon can't be a fasiq. And the person who made the reports in Yemen, I believe they were from the Houthi Shia. And the other Sunni Muslim countries rejected their sighting of the moon. But one imam here in New York said, we're going to follow these people. And I was laughing to myself. I said, because the Sunni Muslims in our country reject this person or reject this country because the fiqh issues of sighting the moon, they understood. The fiqh issues of sighting the moon, that the fasiq, he doesn't take his testimony in sighting the moon. But because the Muslims here in America, many of us, we're not busy with talabul ilm, seeking knowledge, we don't know. So this particular imam, he took this opinion, and he was even not even a minority, a small amount of the minority. He took this. But in the Ramadan came, he didn't follow them because he figured he made a mistake. So even with the international sighting, you have to know some things about fiqh, whether you're going to be internationally following Saudi Arabia, and that's another issue itself. Do we just follow Saudi every year? There's nothing wrong with it, but some Muslims think for international, it has to be Saudi. But there's nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I find nothing wrong with that. You have some people who do the international sighting, they don't, and they go with whoever. And that I find the national sightings, problems. Me personally in America, I find the national sightings, problems. Because the people who are saying they sighting the moon, who are they? Who are they? Who made the committee? And amongst this committee, they have, and when you look into it, a lot of times they put up on the internet, once they sight the moon, they put up the information and stuff. A lot of the information is not clear, it's vague. Even the pictures they take of the moon is vague. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, but then you go look for Sha'ban and the month before that, and the month before that, and the month before that, or you just go sighting the moon only for Ramadan only. You go look, see where the other Islamic months come in, or you just go doing Ramadan only and that's it. This is a very important issues. Because sometimes even with sighting the moon, here in America, it's a political game with the Muslims. It is also a political game. They want to make a stance, although Muslims in America, we need to take the banner of Islam for the whole Muslim world. So there's a political agenda either with some Islamic organizations about sighting the moon. They don't want to follow international sighting because they think for the Muslims in America, they have their own fiqh. They think the Muslims in America have their own fiqh just for them, that the other Muslims in Arab countries in the Muslim world don't understand. We have this amongst Muslims here in America. So it's very important, every individual of the Muslim, whether you are layman or not, that you understand the issues of Ramadan and the issues of sighting even the moon. Who sights the moon? When? Where? Learning the hadith. Because any book you pick on fiqh, general, like this book right here, and any fiqh book is going to talk about how to sight the moon and who sight the moon and why, and how the Prophet ﷺ took testimonies of people who sight the moon. And what type of testimonies were rejected. So it's important for us to know this also. Because once we have knowledge of this basic foundations, then we understand what to do related to the issues when they come in America of what to follow. And I will talk about that more next time, inshallah, about what opinion to take. But you should feel, I will end with this, you should feel for the Muslim, you should feel that the community you're with, whatever community you're with, or you decide to fast with, you should be sure about them. You should be sure about them. Don't just blindly follow people. You should be very sure and know by faith or feel in your heart that the people making decisions in the community have the best interest of the Muslims. That they have what? The best interest of the Muslim in mind and not the best interest of their political movement in mind. You should know this. Because we have heard even narrations from people. I live in other countries in the Western world. When people would say they're not going to come, they say we're going to get a committee for Ramadan in the community, all the masjids, and you hear people inside the committee saying, I'm not going to fast, I'm not going to start until my sheikh in my country tell us to start. And that's the issue that Muslims have. And then people say, okay, then you want to follow national sighting, international sighting, but this is how we do it in fiqh. If you're going to follow the national sighting here, we have to have a group of people who are trained and know how to sight the moon. And pick, not the guy like me who have bad eyes. Not the guy who's sitting in the street. The guy who don't pray. The guy who's backbiting and lying. The guy who got issues in his religion. The guy who goes spreading namima and ghib about people. We have to know these issues. And we're in with that. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد
اللهم أهل علينا شهر رمضان بالأمن والإيمان والسلامة والإسلام والتوفيق لما تحب وترضى يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم أعنا فيه على الصيام والقيام اللهم اجعلنا ممن يصوم ويقوم إيمانا واحتسابا اللهم سلمنا لرمضان وسلمه لنا وتسلمه منا متقبلا اللهم اجعله شهر عز للإسلام والمسلمين اللهم اجعله شهر النصر والتمكين للإسلام والمسلمين